In the short film Recurrence, the creator takes the audience on a slow descent into a sprawling metropolis that he's created. But as you get closer and closer to the city and try to make out details such as houses and skyscrapers, well, you start to realize that those tiny details only reveal more of the same, and that your descent is never going to end. Using computer animation to cover complex mathematical fractal patterns with satellite imagery of real cities, the creator made an amazing illusion that's somehow relaxing while being simultaneously mind-melting. And while it's completely fake, this descent is eerily reminiscent of when your plane gets stuck in a seemingly endless holding pattern while you're waiting to land after a long flight. Either way, just like 3D pictures from back in the day or VR now, it's definitely something that you have to see at least once. In this first video, the boy appears to drag his feet as he walks, while his knees, particularly the left one, stay bent throughout his steps. Now in the second video, his knees remain bowed inward, but his legs, now clad in a robotic exoskeleton, swing more as they move, and his feet lift off the ground and his knees bend and flex in time with his steps. The boy is one of 7 children with cerebral palsy that were outfitted with exoskeletons in hopes that the robotic devices could improve their crouched posture, making it easier for them to take simple steps. Those steps will otherwise become more difficult over time. 50% of people with cerebral palsy stop walking when they reach adulthood. In a study recently published, researchers reported that the exoskeletons helped most participants straighten their legs as they walked, alleviating the permanent knee bend that causes the crouching disorder known as crouch gait. The researchers also found that while the exoskeletons provided support when it was needed, participants were still in control of their own steps. Thomas Beulah, a biomedical engineer at the National Institutes of Health and one of the paper's authors, said the study was an initial attempt to show that exoskeleton technology should be explored further as a tool to help children with cerebral palsy maintain mobility. Now researchers want to determine whether long-term use of the exoskeleton, including outside of a research setting, could ease crouch gait even when the exoskeleton isn't being worn. The hope is that such extensive training could enable people with cerebral palsy to walk on their own for much longer. Cerebral palsy is a neurological condition that leads to problems with movement and coordination. Now, the new research is a long way from showing that exoskeletons would be an effective clinical solution, and many outstanding questions remain, but it does show promise. AHA, one of Iceland's largest e-commerce companies, partnered with Flytrex recently to expand its delivery bandwidth and find new efficient ways to deliver goods to customers around the city of Reykjavik. Using Flytrex's drone delivery system, AHA is now delivering goods between 2 parts of the city that are separated by a wide river, dramatically cutting delivery times and costs in the process. Flytrex's system operates alongside AHA's existing vehicle-based delivery network, increasing its daily delivery capacity without increasing manpower. Whether it's food, flowers, or a new phone, delivering products is now as instant as ordering. So far, it seems to be a hit and is only further proof that drone delivery is a viable technology, not only in the States, but in other parts of the world as well. In places like Wenatchee, Washington, where the valley is split by one of the largest rivers in the U.S., well, that could mean almost instant delivery from one side to the other. Or in places like Phillip Island, where we're only 2.5 miles away, or a little over 4 kilometers away from the Mornington Peninsula, but it's a 72-mile or 117-kilometer trip that takes you about an hour and 40 minutes to drive. Well, it could mean some big time savings in the future. The Multi-Modal Autonomous Drone, otherwise known as SMAD, is a fixed-wing drone that has a few bird-like tricks up its sleeve. For example, fly it like a glider through a room or an open space, but When it approaches a flat surface, the drone quickly changes configuration and lands flat with its little spiky teeth digging in to keep it from falling off. In short, this is one of the scariest robotic behaviors I've seen since Big Dog galloped its way into our nightmares. The SMAD uses something called microspines to attach itself to rough surfaces. The spines are essentially hardened steel spikes that grip small bumps in a surface from two directions. The plane now lands on surfaces 100% of the time. A pretty impressive feat for such a drone. With these microspines, the plane can flatten itself against a wall and perch there, gathering data and scanning the environment. Then, when it's ready to move on, it releases the spines and flies off into the wild blue. Researchers had to create a new way to essentially stop the plane in mid-air and settle on a surface. The system switches the plane to helicopter in a split second, allowing it to flatten itself against the wall instantly. There are several tricks to this. The first trick is the pitch-up maneuver, which turns the fixed-wing airplane into a temporary helicopter of sorts, relying entirely on the propeller for lift generation, while the wings provide enough of a control surface to cancel out the torque. At that point, the UAV can approach the wall as slowly as it likes, using a laser rangefinder for wall detection. Which leads to the second trick, maximizing the zone of suitable touchdown conditions, or making sure that the approach is slow enough and steady enough that you can actually perch reliably. This is obviously a proof of concept, but it could be used in situations where long-distance glides terminate in a permanent perch at some high point for data collection. After the data is collected, the plane can essentially fall off the surface and fly back by righting itself, climbing to altitude, and then gliding home. Amazon back in tech news this week with some big news. They have acquired Whole Foods Market. In fact, it closed just a couple days ago. And with the acquisition, means lower prices on a selection of best-selling grocery staples across all their stores, with more to come soon. In addition, Amazon and Whole Foods Market technology teams are now beginning to integrate Amazon Prime into the Whole Foods Market point of sale system. And when this work is complete, Prime members will receive special savings and in-store benefits. Here's what's new in Whole Foods Market stores starting right now. Lower prices on products like whole trade bananas, organic avocados, organic large brown eggs, organic responsibly farmed salmon, organic baby kale and baby lettuce, and much more. In the future, after certain technical integration work is complete, Amazon Prime will become Whole Foods Market's customer rewards program, providing Prime members with special savings and other in-store benefits. Whole Foods Market's healthy and high-quality private label products will eventually be available through Amazon.com as well. Also, Amazon Fresh, Prime Pantry, and Prime Now. Amazon lockers will be available in select Whole Foods Market stores too. Customers can have products shipped from Amazon to their local Whole Foods Market store for pickup, or of course send returns back to Amazon during a trip to the grocery store. This is just the beginning. Amazon and Whole Foods Market plan to offer more in-store benefits and lower prices for customers over time as the two companies integrate all of their systems.